We'll be now starting in a couple of minutes. If you can see me well, if you can hear me well, then you are all set for the event. You can already access the Slido by scanning the QR code or joining by the website slido.com using the hashtag. See you in a couple of minutes. Good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome to this European Urban Initiative Q&A session. We are really happy to be here with you this morning. My name is Camille. I'm Project Officer at the EUI Permanent Secretariat, and I'm joined today by my colleague.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Isabella. I'm also a Project Officer at the EUI Permanent Secretariat.
So today our focus will be on answering all your questions about EUI and more specifically on this third call for innovative actions. We'll be using Slido to collect your different questions. So Slido is an online platform that is accessible via mobile using the QR code or going to slido.com through the browser using the hashtag. So you will have the opportunity to ask your questions using the Q&A tab, or to give thumb ups whenever there is a question that is already asked by another participant that you are interested in. Please note that the Microsoft Teams chat is disabled, so Slido is really the only tool that you have to use to ask your different questions. Now, to kick off this session, we have prepared actually a quiz for you on Slido, so you can log in and already start the quiz, please. But Isa, maybe in the meantime, while we are waiting for our audience to get set up on Slido, maybe you can share with us some piece of advice that could be useful for our applicants at that stage of the process.
Yes, definitely, Camille. So my big piece of advice at this stage is, if you have not done it yet, to create your account on the Connect IT platform and to start filling in your application form. The deadline will approach very fast, and you should use as much time as possible in order to fill it out properly and to submit a good quality application.
Thanks a lot. It's a very, very fair point. I think we are now ready to start the quiz questions. So I would like to start with the first one we have for you. When do you think the project work plan must be presented? Is it answer A at the application stage, or answer B only once the project is approved? So either answer A or answer B. Leave you a few seconds for you to make your choice. And it seems that most of you have selected the answer A. Isa, can you tell us what the correct answer is?
Yes, so A at the application stage is the correct answer. So you have to fill in all sections of the application form, as well the part D, the so-called work plan.
Oh, good, great, thank you. So all of you had the right answer. That's a very good sign. Next question then. So our second question is, what is the maximum number of thematic work packages that can be created in the application form work plan? Is it A4 or B2? Okay, again here, the trend seems to be around the first answer for thematic work packages maximum. Can you tell us whether the answer is correct?
Yes, so it's correct. You can create up to 4 thematic work packages in your application form, plus then the obligatory management, communication, monitoring, evaluation, and transfer work package.
Great, thank you, Isa. And actually, as a follow-up of this quiz, and before starting directly with the question and answer, we would like to congratulations, Ivan. We would like to take the opportunity of this session to have a quick focus with you on the topic of the work plan development of an innovative actions project, because we think this is a really relevant topic for you at this stage of the application process. So we have prepared for that a couple of slides that I will present you in a minute. So indeed, among the main feature of an innovative actions project, there is obviously the innovativeness of the solution. That's not a big surprise, but there is also the good quality of the proposal. So what do we mean by a good quality proposal? There are actually a couple of requirements that you have to keep in mind. First, it's really important to have a clear and logical design and organization of your different project elements. You will plan your main objective, your different activities, the deliverables that are associated to that, and the outputs, and all these elements should be well described and coherently integrated with each other. You also have to pay attention to set up realistic ambitions for your project. So to have a project that demonstrates readiness to be implemented. So that means, for the one hand, that your main risk, your main challenges of the project have been properly identified and also addressed with meaningful mitigating actions. It also means that sufficient time must be foreseen for the implementation of your different activities and even more for your investments. You also need to foresee an effective management. That means to have, even at the application stage, project management structures and procedures that are well defined and that are appropriate considering the size of your partnerships and the needs of your projects. You need also to make sure that your project has a solid budget and that it demonstrates a good value for money. So concretely, that means that your budget must be realistically planned, so taking into account the reality of the markets, but also with reasonable and proportionate resources allocated to your different activities. So this notion of proportionality of your budget is really important here. Sorry, so all these elements have to be demonstrated and explained in your work plan. And your work plan, this is really the how of your project. It should really provide a clear operational answer to the question, how is your proposed solution going to be implemented concretely? And to provide that answer, there are different elements that in your work plan that must be organized. So you have the work packages, which are the main pillars of your innovative solution. So as Isa mentioned before, there are 4 thematic work packages that you can create to describe your project. Then each work packages can be decomposed up to 5 activities, which are the specific task of the delivery of your project. They are themselves decomposed into up to 3 deliverables that should be considered as the intermediary steps composing your activity, and that will lead to the delivery of the final end product of your project, which are the outputs. So that's it for the general overview of the work plan. It's really, really important to consider the quality of this work plan, because first, it will be the core of the operational assessment that will weigh for 30% of the total scoring of your project. And also because even if you have a very great, very innovative idea described in the section C of the application form, if your project or proposal is not convincing from an operational perspective in the work plan, then it's your whole project proposal that could be penalized. So that being said, we want to share with you some tips for developing a good work plan. So the first one, a very important one, is to ensure this correspondence between the section C of the application form, which is the strategic concept description, and the section D of the application form, which is the work plan. So you need to make sure there is no mismatch between the components of the innovative solution and how this is translated concretely, operationally into the work plan. That's really important. If there is any mismatch between 2 sections, then it will be penalized. In terms of drafting style, there is a character limited system, which means that you need to be as simple and as clear in your description, and to make sure that this is well understandable for an external reader. It's also really important that you ensure a logic chain and some synergies between these different project elements. So you have different thematic work packages. They all have to be well integrated, well interrelated with each other. If you have a standalone work package not connecting to any other work package, this is an issue. Likewise, your different activities, deliverables, and outputs, they all must be logically organized to reach the project objectives and results. And to evidence the connections between these different work plan elements, we strongly recommend you to include cross-references throughout your proposal to explain us what are the connections between the different interconnected work packages or different interconnected activities. It's also really important to keep in mind that you need to use the deliverables as the intermediary steps of an activities. This should really reflect the different operational steps that are composing your activity to be implemented in practice. A word maybe on the investment. So if you are planning any investment, then you need to demonstrate why they are justified, why they are needed for the achievement of your project outputs and results. They should be as well really well detailed. For any investment that you are planning, you will have the possibility in your application form to create an investment fiche where all these type of details will be requested, and you have to fill in that fiche very thoroughly. We also recommend you for what concerns the partner involvement in the project to make it clear in your different activities who will be involved, which partner will be involved to deliver this specific activity, who will have the responsibility for that specific activity or that specific deliverables. This is really recommended. And for what concerns the involvement of the other stakeholders, so not the partners, but the other parties that could be taking part to the project, we really encourage you to, because you have to describe the involvement in the section C of the application form, but we really encourage you as well in the work plan to include dedicated engagement mechanism to make sure that these different stakeholders will be actively involved in the project. So that means created dedicated tools, dedicated activities in the work plan where they would be clearly involved in your project activities. Next slide, please. And now a few words on tips for developing a good time plan, because timing is also a key component of the quality of your overall work plan. So first, pay attention to the logical time sequence between your different activities. Anytime that you have interconnected work packages or activity, make sure that the time sequence is coherent. This is really something that will be checked by the assessors. Do not forget to include contingency periods, notably for the investment. So in your timeline, to include some buffer periods to make sure that in case of delays, your project is still realistic and manageable. Anticipate sufficiently the time that is needed for the different procedures in your project, of course for public procurement, but if you need some administrative authorization, if you need some permitting procedures, building permit and so on, these are really important procedures that can take time. So we really encourage you to assess what are the realistic timing for these different procedures and to include them sufficiently in your work plan. And finally, it's important to foresee sufficient time for the operation of your solution, meaning for the testing period as such of the project, but not only, also sufficient time for the data collection and for the evaluation of the solution. So that's it for the different tips that we wanted to share with you regarding the work plan development. We hope that you found it useful, and it's now time for our Q&A.
So we have already one question from Ivan. What is a project output?
Okay, that's a good first question. So we consider as an output really the main end product of the project. So the main product that will be delivered from the project as a result of the funding given to the project. So it's really a project that will be useful to directly achieve the main project results. So we really encourage you to make your project output clearly detailed, also with very concrete, very measurables. And there is one requirement in the application form is to have at least one output per work package.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you, Camille.
That's it for the first question. So let's move on to the next one. Is it advantageous to put together delivery partners from public industry, academia, and society, or can this be included as part of the stakeholders transfer?
Yes, so we would definitely recommend you to include them as delivery partners, because we are really looking for so-called quadruple helix partnerships, meaning that the different industry sectors are represented, meaning the public sector, for example, the main urban authority, industry, like having private companies, academia. Often there's a university partner involved in the project, and also society can be, for example, a small NGO. So yes, they should be rather delivery partners, and stakeholders should be like smaller entities that are not key for implementing the project solution.
Thank you.
So then we have another question from Sonia about work packages. She would like to know if it's useful or expected to explain staff costs of a work package with the total of person months foreseen.
Okay, so I understand that the question here is about the description of the staff cost at work package level. So we really encourage you in the description of your different costs to be as specific as possible. This will be something that will be assessed by the assessors to assess the quality of your budget, how proportionate is it, and how well described and solid is it. So it's really encouraged indeed to, for staff cost precisely, to quantify as much as possible your staff costs. It can be person months or it can be full-time equivalent, but any type of quantification will be very much appreciated to understand for the assessors what are the resources that are allocated to your different project activities, and to assess whether or not this is proportionate to your project activities.
Okay, great.
Isa, next question. What should take place in the initiation phase in addition to determining the transfer partners?
Yes, so the initiation phase lasts 6 months, and during this phase, you will first of all sign the subsidy contract, you will sign the partnership agreement with all your delivery partners, you will also draft a monitoring plan, you will indeed finally decide on the transfer partners. However, you should already ideally present like the transfer partners in the project proposal. But then if there's some changes, this could be carried out during the initiation phase. And yeah, you will also then fine-tune your project proposal. You might receive some recommendation from the selection committee. So it's really, the initiation phase has the purpose to make your project ready so that it's it can be fully operational from the first day of your official project start date.
Thank you.
Then we have another question about who needs to understand the application documents, technical or not. Should all technical details be dealt with?
Okay, so your application, your project will be assessed by two types of experts. First, the strategic assessment will be carried out by a thematic expert that will be really knowledgeable about the topic of your project. And then you will have a second part of the assessment, which will be more operational, that will be dealt internally by the permanent secretariat. So for what concerns the explanation of your innovative solution, it should be, of course, described with the maximum of details and technical details as possible for this expert to assess the innovativeness of your proposed solution. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And next question, when filling in the budget tables for each work plan, where do we put each partner's contribution?
Yes, so it's correct. You will have to fill in the budget in each work package for each project partners. And once you have done that, the system will automatically calculate the 20% own contribution that each partner has to bring in. And this has to be filled in in a separate section. So it's not in the work packages as such. It's a separate section of the application form where this is automatically calculated for each partner. And in this section, you will then have to say if the partner brings contribution in the form of, for example, cash contribution, which is most of the case applicable, meaning it's co-financed with staff costs, or, for example, in-kind contribution if the project is co-financed with land or buildings or something like this. So this is a separate section in the application form, and it's already kind of pre-filled by as it's automatically calculated by the system.
Yeah, and it's really important that we use this section to with all the details, whether it's the in cash or in kind contribution or who is contributing and covering this contribution. We are really expecting this level of details.
Yeah, for example, it's also possible that one partner covers the contribution of another partner. So this is something that you could then include in this partner contribution section. Okay, so we have another question from Sonia about the investment fish. She would like to know what exactly is this investment fish.
Yeah, so whenever you are planning an investment in your project, so an investment is really an output of the project that is expected to remain in use by the target group after the completion of the project, so on the long term. Whenever you are planning this kind of investment, it can be infrastructure, it can be long-term equipment. Then you are requested in the application form to create this investment fish. So you have a dedicated tab that you can add for in that case. If you don't have any investment, you don't create that kind of fish. And in that fish, you will have different fields that will have to be filled in to provide further details on the need for the investment, so the justification, why do we need this project, this investment for the project, why is it necessary to reach the project objective, and so on. And the investment fish is also important to provide some technical details, which will help us to assess the readiness of this investment. For instance, any details on who will be the owners of the investment during the project, but also after, who will take care of the maintenance, if there are any technical documents that are needed, permits, and so on to deliver this investment. So this is really where it will be assessed the need for the investment and the readiness in terms of technical details.
Mm-hmm. And maybe what would be good to say as well is that this section will automatically appear once you create an investment in the application form. So you will be somehow forced as well to fill in this this section. Yeah.
Let's move on to another question regarding the partnership. The question is, we have very specialist partners not directly from our city, but within our region and Germany. Is it sufficiently local?
So normally we're looking for local partnerships, meaning it's a city and then project partners that are located in the city or in the surrounding. It's possible to have as well one or two, for example, partners that are not local, that are located in another region or even in another country. However, this always needs to be properly explained and justified why partner is really needed in the project proposal. And as well, it should not be applicable for all the project partners. It should not be a very international project partnership. That's not what we're looking for. That's why we have the transfer partners. But if it's one or two partners that are located in another outside of the city or the surroundings, then it's possible if it's properly explained. So we have another question from Lena about the section C 1.5 and the benchmarking. So it's in the explanatory part of the application form. Can the project be based on MUA's own previous related projects, or does it have to be based on other European projects? So I think it's about the benchmarking. So she would like to, okay.
Yeah, okay. So what we are looking for with innovative actions project is really innovation at EU scale. So this section in the benchmarking is really here for you to demonstrate how, in what extent your proposed solution has an innovative dimension at EU scale. So it's really important that this benchmark does not really rely on your own internal municipal project, but that has a focus on a wider scale at EU level to demonstrate in what extent your proposed solution is somehow different and more added value, provide added value compared to other projects already implemented in other EU countries. So please do not focus on your own municipal project, but take a broader look at what is going on elsewhere in Europe to demonstrate that your proposed solution is innovative and is somehow different compared to the others. Next question, how to select the transfer partners, Isa? What are the criteria for that?
Yes, so at the application stage, it's important that you justify that there's also a need for your project elsewhere than in your city. So first of all, you should always select project partner transfer partners that are that have, for example, faced similar challenges, and this has to be explained in the application form. And then concretely, how to actually find them. I mean, there are different ways. First of all, maybe your city has already some corporations, or you're part of some networks. And you can also sign up on our Portico website and create a request and say that you're looking for transfer partners, that you have a project idea. And this could also be a way to find transfer partners. And about the criteria as such, ideally there should be, or not ideally, I mean, it's actually one of the requirements that there should be two transfer partners or two partners, the MUA including, that are located in less developed or transition regions. So we have on a map on our Call3 page where you can see the different, if your region is more developed, less developed, or a transition region. So you should select at least there should be two partners that are less developed or transition, and then the other two can, for example, be more developed. So those are the criteria in order to find eligible transfer partners. And so if I'm not sure if there's anything else.
No. And I think it's important to emphasize that at the application stage, what is really important for you is to at least identify who could be the transfer partners relevant for your project. So if you can't identify them at that stage, this won't be that much a big deal. I mean, that's not fully compulsory at the application stage, but at least it must be this exercise for you to identify which area, which type of cities have the characteristic that would make them relevant to be transfer partners for you. That's one thing. And then the other important thing at the application stage is for you to be able to identify what are the component of your project that would be interesting and transferable to other cities.
Yeah, thank you very much, Camille. So we have another question from Gonzalo about, isn't there a specific guide for drama, the project budget?
So we don't have as such a specific guide for elaborating the project budget, but you can find definitely on the Call3 page some guidance from and videos from that we have elaborated to help you in drawing up your budgets with some tips on how to make a good budget, what needs to be taken into account in terms of proportionality, in terms of description of your project cost and so on. So we really encourage you to go to see this video. And if you have more specific questions, of course, on the elaboration of your project budget, you can still contact us directly to answer your queries.
Yeah, we will also have a focused question and answer session on financial questions on the 19th of September. So if you have specific questions related to the project budget, you could also join that question and answer session and get additional information there. Or also in the guidance, it's very explained in detail how to set up your project budget.
Next question about the investments. When the project ID is highly centered upon the material investment, can we add a dedicated work package? I mean, investment work package.
Yes, so investments are directly integrated in different work packages, meaning that you create one work package. You will have to define project activities around this investment. For example, this could be related to the public procurement, first of all, and then actual project activities. For example, if you are refurbishing a building, activities that will take place in this building, or like co-design with inhabitants in order to to decide on certain elements of this investment. And then you will create the investment itself, meaning that you will describe what your investment is and also fill in the so-called investment fiche. But it's not possible to have specific standalone investment work packages. There always needs to be activities, project activities around this investment. Okay, so we have another question about the evaluation criteria. What are the evaluation criteria for your selection of project applications? What are the most important aspects?
Okay, so to start my answer, you can find all these details in the terms of reference for this Call3. You will be able to find what are the details of the different strategic assessment criteria and operational assessment criteria. The strategic assessment is the most important part of the assessment. It will weigh for 70% of the total scoring. And among the main criteria that will be assessed there, it is, of course, the innovativeness of and relevance of the proposal. So it will weigh for 30% of the total scoring. But it's also important to pay attention to the partnership and co-creation dimension, because the quality of your partnership and how your proposed solution will be co-created will be scored for 12% of the total scoring. Same for the measurability of of the result and impact of your project. So these are the main components of the assessments at the strategic level. A bit less scored, but still very important. You have the sustainability and the scalability of your solution and the transferability as such. And then for what concerns the operational assessment, so it will weigh for 30% of the total scoring. And here, the most important dimension is the overall project design and logic. So it's very much related to the presentation I had a few minutes ago about the work plan development, the way your different work plan elements are integrated and interrelated. But you also have evaluated during the operational assessment the operational readiness and the overall project feasibility. So the timeline, how current is your timeline, how well designed is your risk matrix, and so on. We'll also assess at that stage the different organizational arrangement in terms of project management and communication activities. In what extent your communication activities are also designed to support your project implementation, not only for dissemination or information purposes, but also to engage your stakeholders in delivering your activities. And there will be also a score for the overall quality of your project budgets. So that's it. But for more details on what is expecting behind each criteria, I invite you to refer to the terms of reference. Next question. If the impact for the entire urban society is achieved by a direct impact for only certain stakeholders, is that sufficient for funding eligibility?
Yes, so the question is a bit broad, so I will try to answer it, but if it's not going in the direction of what you would like to know, feel free to send us maybe an email with more details about this. But what is important is that in your application form, you define an urban challenge, and your project should address this urban challenge. So if your challenge is focused on these certain stakeholders, and then the project solution is solving this challenge, I mean, it would be fine, because then that's your project managed to achieve its goals. But if your challenge is wider than these certain stakeholders, then it might only be able to partially achieve these goals. So here it's a bit hard to tell what exactly you aim to achieve. I'm not sure if there's something else, Camille, that you would like to add. But yeah, what is important is clearly define your challenge, your project challenge, and your project solution, and see if there's a match between these two, if the solution is able to address your challenge. Okay, so then we have another question. This one from Aurora about, can the development of an app be considered as an investment?
Thanks, Ida. So the answer is no. For the application or everything related to platforms, they must be described as project activities, but they are not considered as investments. What we consider as investment of project are really the hard investment. I mean, the infrastructural works, the building refurbishment, and so on. This type of infrastructural works, plus the equipment which have in investment nature, because they are aimed to be kept on the long term by the target group after the completion of the project. But for the apps, for the platform, there is no need to create any investment fishes for them. They can only be described as part of the activity, which does not mean that the long-term durability and sustainability of this tool is not important for it. It should be described anyway, but there is no need to create investment fishes for them. Next question is that does the MUA receive the total grant, or do all delivery partners receive it directly?
Yes, so we will sign a subsidy contract with the MUA, so the main urban authority, and they will receive then the funding, so the 80% ERDF funding from us, and they are responsible in order to redistribute the funding to the delivery partners according to the budget in the application form, of course. And then in the partnership agreement, they can make specific agreements on how often they transfer the funding and so on. But it's only the MUA that will receive the funding from us. We don't communicate, and we're not transferring any money to delivery partners. And the same applies as well for the transfer partners. Actually, it's the MUA that receive the funding for the transfer partners, and they are responsible for transferring it to the transfer partners. We have another question about buildings. So our project includes the use of a building as part of the project. Can we include the value evaluation of the building as cash in kind contribution?
Okay, so indeed it is possible to valorize the value of buildings that will be used in the framework of the project as in-kind contribution. So you have in that case to make an assessment of the value of that building by an independent expert and to report this in-kind contribution value as part of the contribution section of the application form. There is no need for any justification of the value of that building at the application stage, but definitely if your project is approved, then the auditors will check the evaluation has been carried out thoroughly by an independent expert. Next question from Sandra. In the activities that include construction, the cost of labor is placed in the field of external expertise and services, and what about the materials?
So it depends a bit if these construction works are carried out by the delivery partner or if these are like purchased services. If it's purchased services, meaning that the delivery partner, the MUA, is signing a contract with another company that will carry out some works, then this should be under external expertise and services. If any kind of works are carried out by the partner itself, it should be under staff costs, as those are carried out then by employees of the delivery partner or the MUA. So if there's a payslip based relationship, then it's staff costs, and if it's like invoice based, then it's external expertise. And about the materials, so this will be probably the either external expertise budget line, cost category, or it can also be maybe infrastructure and works. It depends a bit what kind of materials it is. Maybe that would be good to have a look at our guidance, because we have for each of the cost categories detailed description, plus as well some examples of costs that fall under these cost categories. So for materials, for example, if it's some lab materials or something like this, there might be some differences. So have a look at the guidance, and then if you're still unsure, you can also send us an email, of course. Okay, so we have another question from Chris. Can we allocate any budget to transfer partners?
Okay, so as such, there is no need to allocate any budget to transfer partners, simply because there is already a budget that will be automatically allocated to the transfer partners for the three of them. This is an amount of 150,000 euros total eligible cost that will be granted to them under the form of a lump sum. So meaning something, a fixed amount of money that will be transferred to the main urban authority and then redistributed to the transfer partners. But you don't have to allocate any budget to transfer partners as such. What you can do, however, is to allocate some budget for the main urban authority or for some of the delivery partners that will be involved in that transfer work package. That's a possibility. Next question from Sonia. Can stakeholders also be transfer or implementation partners?
So first of all, transfer partners, they always need to be from another country. So as stakeholders, I understand normally they would be local, so within the same country or within the same region. So they can definitely not be transfer partners. And when it comes to implementation partners, we differentiate between delivery partners that are so-called project partners that are active part of the project proposal, of the implementation, and that are part of the partnership agreement. So if a stakeholder has a key role, this it should be rather a delivery partner than a stakeholder, because stakeholders, they have no budget, so they are you cannot force them to be active part in your project or to cooperate or something like this. If you feel that a stakeholder is really key in order to implement your project, it should be rather delivery partner. And otherwise, a simple stakeholder, if it's a smaller entity, for example, that is not a key for your solution. And this should then be explained in the stakeholder involvement. Yeah, not sure if there's something else.
Maybe to add that to be transfer partners, you you need to be a city, an urban authority. So it cannot be whatever stakeholders. It must be a city, an urban authority from another country.
Yes. Okay, then we have another question from Gergana. Regarding partners, do they need to be registered in the platform system like the MUA and linked to the specific project?
Okay, so if I understood properly the question, the answer is yes. The different partners that will be concretely taking part of the project must be absolutely part of your application form when clicking on the submit button at the end of the call. The quality of your partnership is, as I said before, an important component of the evaluation of your proposal, and we need to know what will be the actors around the table to deliver your solution. And so we need to have all of them included in your application form at the application stage. Isa, next question still about transfer partners. What is the role of the transfer partners in the proposal? Should they be involved in any activities?
So the role of the transfer partners is to transfer the project solution to their local context. They are not involved in implementation work packages as such, meaning they should not necessarily be mentioned there. They have their dedicated work package, the so-called transfer work package, where you will have already some predefined outputs that they will have to deliver. So those are the main tasks that they should carry out. Their involvement is also limited as they have only the lump sum, so they don't have a specific. They have a specific budget in the form of the lump sum, but they don't have a budget in order to carry out specific delivery tasks of your project in the other implementation work packages. They could be mentioned, for example, in a management work package if you want to invite them sometimes to some key meetings, or in the communication work package if you invite them to the opening, to launch event or the closure event of the project. There they could be mentioned, but otherwise their main role and tasks are in the transfer work package. And Okay, another question about the project solution. Minimum 3 references, maximum benchmark requires a criterion table. Criteria can be qualitative, quantitative, or both, or just explain the differences. So I think,
Yeah. So here we have a question, I guess, on the benchmark of the innovativeness of the proposed solution. So indeed, you are requested in the application form to provide a minimum of 3 other reference against which you will compare your proposed solution. We don't have any maximum. I could say the more the better, but I mean, it's not needed to have that many benchmark references. I would say the most important is that you demonstrate, you are convincing that you had carried out an exhaustive, as much as possible, exhaustive benchmark of the similar solution implemented elsewhere in Europe. And from that, you are able to extract and to explain in what extent your project is different. So it can be qualitative, it can be quantitative, it can be both. It also depends on the very nature of your project, but you have really to select the more convincing and more relevant references of other experiences in Europe to convince the assessor that you have carried out exhaustively this benchmark and that your project on this specific aspect or this specific aspect is different and provides added value. So I would say it's a bit left up to you. I would say the burden of the demonstration of the innovativeness of your solution is a bit on your shoulders, but it also leaves you somehow the flexibility to map the different experiences throughout Europe and to find the one that are the most relevant for you to demonstrate in what extent your project is different from what is already implemented. Next question on the budget side, are the costs for equipment of a project partner transferable after the application?
So after the project end date, we have the so-called ownership and durability principle that applies, meaning that 5 years after the last payment to the city, the all infrastructure elements or productive investments, they have to remain within the project partnership, meaning that during this time you you need to remain owner of them. After this period, it would be possible to transfer it to somewhere else. I mean, you can transfer it between project partners, because we say that it just has to remain within the project partnership, but you cannot transfer the equipment, the ownership of the equipment or the infrastructure to a party outside of the project partnership. And then maybe when it comes to costs, maybe costs for maintenance of some equipment, of course, this can be covered outside of the project partnership, but the ownership as such needs to remain within the project partnership. Another question from Elma. Can a metropolitan area of multiple municipalities be a transfer partner?
Yeah, the answer is yes. Can be a transfer partner, any urban authority, of course, matching the different criteria. But I mean, organized agglomeration, as can be a metropolitan area, can be then considered as a transfer partner. And we remain on the topic of transfer partners. Is there any size limit for the transfer partners?
So size, I understand here maybe in terms of number of inhabitants. I mean, first of all, there need to be 3 transfer partners. You cannot have more than 3 transfer partners, and you cannot have less than 3 transfer partners. And then when it comes to the number of inhabitants, it's true that for transfer partners, we don't ask for this requirement of having a minimum of 50,000 inhabitants, as it's the case for main urban authorities that in order to be eligible to apply for the proposal. So there's no minimum number there. However, what's important to say is that transfer partners, they need to be urban. So if it's a very small town, you better have a look at Eurostat correspondence tables that we have on our website. If this town is actually a degree of urbanization 1 or 2, means that this town or city is urban. But yeah, here again, this is something that we will have a detailed look once the project is approved at application stage. As it was mentioned before by Camille, it's more important to really clearly identify potential cities or regions where the project solution could be replicated. And when it comes to this more detailed elements around the transfer partners, this we can then still have a check during the initiation phase. Another question, is it possible that a partner has no staff costs? It has a project team, but no staff costs.
If I'm not mistaken, Isai, I think we have this requirement that if a partner doesn't have any staff costs, that it can't be a project partner, right?
Yes, normally we say that the partner has to have staff costs. I mean, maybe if there's an invoiced based relationship and staff is there, but it's paid via external expertise, it might be possible, but ideally partners should have
their own staff. Okay, next question. Are the delivery partners mandatory?
I mean, mandatory not, but it's definitely recommended to have several delivery partners, because it's clearly impossible for the main urban authority, for the city, to deliver a project on its own. So they will need to work together with other parties, meaning project partners, the so-called delivery partners. So having a partnership that consists only of one partner, meaning the city, or 2 partners, that has very low chances actually then to be positively evaluated during the strategic assessment. So it's strongly recommended to have several delivery partners. As we mentioned it before, it can be, for example, a university, it can be a small NGO, it can be a private company, an SME, it can be all kind of partners that you could think of, but projects should definitely have several delivery partners. Then we have a question: can the provision of a software for the project's purpose by a delivery partner be considered as in-kind contribution as well, costs of license?
Yeah, I guess as some type of equipment that can be useful for the purpose of the project, this kind of cost for software could be included as an in-kind contribution. I don't see the obstacle to that.
Yeah.
Next question from Chris. Is there a table with a categorization for urbanization?
Yes, so on the Call3 page, you will find an Excel document, and that is called the correspondence table. So if you scroll down at the bottom of the page, you find a lot of different documents that are linked, and one of them is this so-called correspondence table. So it's actually a table from Eurostat where you can find the degree of urbanization for cities in all EU countries. And there you can check, first of all, of your city, if they have a degree of urbanization 1 or 2, which means urban, or if the degree of urbanization is 3, then it means that it's rural. Yeah, so you can have a look at this table. Another question about the budget for transfer partners. Regarding budget for transfer partners, thus the 150,000 per transfer partner have to be included in the overall 6.25 million euro project budget calculation.
Yeah, I confirm that the respective budget for the different transfer partners will be automatically included in your overall project budget. So it will be automatic, and this is part of this 6.25 million euro maximum. So this will be included in your total maximum project budget. Before moving on to the next question, just to bring to your attention that we have less than 10 minutes left for that session. So if you have any burning questions that you want to ask, then that's your moment. Is the next question in the transfer work plan where we put the amount for the transfer partner travel and accommodation, maximum 150,000 just for this, or does it also include consultancy and so on?
So first of all, as Camille just mentioned, the budget for the transfer partners, it's a lump sum and it's automatically included in the project budget. So, and it covers all kind of costs. It covers travel accommodation costs, it covers staff costs. If there's a need, normally it should be carried out by the partner itself, so by the city and not by a consultancy. But if there's a need to get some external expertise in the form of consultancy, this would also then be covered with the lump sum. Yeah, when it comes to the main urban authority or project partners, in order to carry out the transfer work package, they will have to put their own budget in the transfer work package. So they should calculate some costs there for staff. Travel accommodation, it's actually a flat rate that is based on the staff costs. So this will be automatically included then. And yeah. A question about the partner. Yeah, so clarification on my partner, I don't know, questionnaire maybe. Do partners need to make an account in the platform and get linked to the project ID, or do we just list them in the form?
So there is no obligation for your different partners to create their accounts on the platform. If the main urban authority does it, that's sufficient. Maybe later on, if a project is approved, then it will be important for them to have their own access to the system to submit their claims and so on. But at this stage, one account is sufficient on the side of the main urban authority. What is really important for the transfer partners, for the partners as such, is to have in the section B of the application form very clear description about their involvement in the project and their respective data. Next question is regarding in-cash vs in-kind contribution, partners contribution. If we want to cost partner human resources offered in cash, which section does it enter? External expertise and services? Question.
So in the contribution section, indeed, you have to select either cash or in-kind. And whenever it's staff costs, this will be a cash contribution. And then in the project budget, it's allocated under the staff cost category and not under external expertise. I'm not sure if there's maybe something else that we could mention. I hope that we could answer the question. If it's not clear, feel free to send us another email.
But in any case, if you want to valorize staff as contribution from your partner, then it should definitely be considered as in-cash contribution in this section of the application form.
Yeah. So I think that we still have time for 2 last questions. So I have one from Lena. Can an output be intangible?
I would say no. I think it's quite important that the outputs, which are the main products of the project, are really something tangible, specific, measurable. That's really important. However, the different deliverables that could lead to the output could be tangible or intangible. But for the output, it's really important to have them very specific. And last question, Isa, and I think it will be a good one for the last one. Are there any foreseen future call oriented to smaller municipalities, less than 10,000 inhabitants, for instance?
So we are planning to have another call. However, we don't know any details yet about this call. What's the total value? What's the individual value? If it's focused on bigger or smaller municipalities. So unfortunately, there's not much that we can say about this. Just to keep sign up to our newsletter, regularly check our website on this new call. As well, it's if you have a project idea, it's better to try to apply for this 3rd call now. That is our last big call. Because then we don't know yet how the next call will look like. So if you can make it for this 3rd call, we definitely encourage you to apply. Yes.
Thanks a lot for that. So we have now reached nearly the end of this online question and answer. Thank you all for your different questions. It was really interesting. Please note that any unanswered question will be responded separately via email to all the registered participants. Maybe before we leave you, we wanted to share with you the ongoing support that is still available if you need it. Actually, everything is available on the web page of our call 3. So you will find there the online pack of different resources, including the innovative action guidance, which should be really useful for your different questions. Also, the application form courtesy document if you want to work offline on your application with your different partners. You can also find the electronic exchange platform guidance if you need it to create your account on the system. You also have the possibility to register to the next question and answer session if you feel the need for that, or to ask and to register for one-to-one consultation with our colleagues of the project unit of the UI Permanent Secretariat. And finally, I would like to draw your attention on the fact that we are organizing an application form workshop in Brussels on the 10th of September. This is directed to major project ideas to get support in refining that project with very concrete exercises. So it's still possible to register. So if interested, do not hesitate. And of course, if you have any further questions, you can always email us at innovativeaction@urbaninitiative.eu. That's it. Maybe one last request on our side. We would ask you please to fill in this very short survey to provide feedback on this Q&A. You have the QR code here, and we'll be very grateful if you can do that. We will leave it open live for a short moment after this session. So thank you very much for your participation. Good luck for your application, and goodbye.
Thank you. Good luck for your application. Bye.